On YouTube, gonna do a video about the top 5 most exciting bowl games to watch this year. So before I get into my predictions of the actual individual best bowl games, I just wanted to say what I think are going to be the most exciting games that you guys should probably check out before any other. So go ahead and start with I got 5 honorable mentions too, just because the rest of these games I couldn't really rank out. To be honest, they're all kind of equal to me. So start with the first honorable mention: Oklahoma State and Ole Miss in the All-State Sugar Bowl. And I think this one's going to be good because you don't know how it's going to turn out. So Ole Miss went to the Sugar Bowl last year against TCU, and it did not go very well. They lost by, I want to say 39. TCU just got railed, and I don't think it's gonna be the same this year. They went into the game against a TCU team that had just got snubbed from the playoff, a TCU team that was honestly probably one of the best, I'd say best 3 teams in the country last year. I have the confidence to say that last year TCU probably could have competed with Ohio State. Really, I don't know if obviously their only loss was a 3-point last-second loss to Baylor, and that was all they had, so yeah. My second one is North Carolina and Baylor, and I believe this is the Russell Athletic Bowl. It's either Russell Athletic or Alamo. And basically, this game's going to have a lot of points. North Carolina is an offense that put up more points than really anyone in the ACC this year, maybe outside of Clemson. I think they had by far the best offense in their division, and they got talent all over the place. Elijah Hood's a solid running back. Obviously, Ryan Switzer's really good, and then Marquise Williams at quarterback is a very good dual threat quarterback. Baylor, they'll have Jarrett Stidham back, maybe either him or Chris Johnson. So I think Baylor will be good to go. Still the same weapons all over the field they've always had. Shouldn't have lost to Texas, but they did. I think this game's going to be a fun game to watch. It's going to have a ton of points. Battle of some of the best that the ACC and the Big 12 has to offer. Next game is Florida State and Houston. I can't even remember what bowl that is. It's one of the New Year's Six bowls. I think this one's extremely intriguing because Houston, I think, is extremely underrated. It's the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and I think Houston can contend with them. I think Houston can keep up. Florida State finished the year very solidly as a 10-win team. Obviously, the only bad loss they had was to Georgia Tech, and that was kind of a fluky loss. I think they figured their shit out now after putting Sean McGuire back at quarterback, and team seems to be clicking on all cylinders. Houston just won their conference. They won the AAC championship last weekend, looking for the 13th win of the season, and looking to be the best team in the group of 5. So my 4th honorable mention is Michigan and Florida, and this is probably, at least outside of the New Year's Six bowls, the battle of the 2 biggest traditional powers, but at the same time it's probably going to be an extremely low-scoring game. Florida cannot put up points, but they have a very, very good defense. And then Michigan, I'm not sure if Jake Rudock's playing or not, but they have a very good defense as well. Their offense is a little bit better than Florida's, but the last few games it hasn't looked great. So mainly just the Ohio State game. But we'll see what happens. Should be a very entertaining game to watch nonetheless. Cool to see Michigan and Florida playing a bowl game, 2 teams that are on the rise right now. So move on to BYU and Utah, and these are the 2 lowest ranked teams on my list, but it's also the biggest rivalry that's going to be in any bowl game this year. It's one of the early season bowl games. I believe it is on the 2nd or 3rd day of bowl games, and I think it's by far the best early season bowl game to watch. It should be extremely entertaining to see Tanner Mangum go up against Travis Wilson. I can't wait to see it. I believe this is might be the only game on this list that I predicted. Actually in my last video. So, like I said, I think BYU-Utah is going to be a real solid game to watch. Hopefully Utah can get back on track, BYU can play their best, and we can see a really, really quality rivalry game in the bowl season. So, move on to my top 5. At 5, I've got Iowa and Stanford. So, these are 2 very, very similar teams, pretty stout defenses, teams that both had very solid seasons. Iowa just came up short last weekend in the Big Ten championship game. on a last-minute touchdown by Michigan State. And then Stanford just won the Pac-12 championship, and actually Christian McCaffrey was just named as a Heisman finalist. So I think that Stanford is probably going to be really, really, really entertaining to watch if Christian McCaffrey does not win the Heisman, because I think Derrick Henry's a heavy favorite. After that, Deshaun Watson's the next heavy favorite. A lot of people think Christian McCaffrey should win, but Derrick Henry's on the highest ranked second high. He's on the highest ranked team of any running back in the running, and also probably has the best stats of anyone in the running. And then Deshaun Watson's the only quarterback in. He led Clemson to the #1 ranking, and for the first time since 1981, or at least an undefeated season for the first time since 1981. And I think getting snubbed for Heisman, even though he got invited to New York, will give Christian McCaffrey a little bit of motivation. And then again, two very similar quarterbacks, C.J. Beathard, Kevin Hogan, two very efficient quarterbacks, and two quarterbacks that aren't not always going to light up the stat sheet. Kevin Hogan probably has a little bit better stats than C.J. Beathard, but two quarterbacks that manage their teams very well. So move on to number 4, Oregon and TCU. So I think this game's going to be is going to have by far the most points. I have not looked at the over/under yet of this game, but it has to be extremely high. They haven't released one yet, so we'll see what happens. TCU should be as healthy as they've been all season. Josh Doxson might be back for the game, so that'll be cool to see. Trevon Boykin should be fully healthy. Vernon Adams has been fully healthy. And Oregon's been on a roll. TCU's been looking a lot better. And, like I said, I think there's going to be at least 90, 100 points scored in this game. So we'll see what happens. I'm extremely excited for this game. Probably outside of the conference winners, the two hottest teams from the Pac-12 and then the Big 12. So, like I said, it should be an extremely entertaining bowl game. I believe that is the Alamo Bowl. Yes, the Alamo Bowl. The other one was Russell Athletic between North Carolina and Baylor. And then my third one is Ohio State and Notre Dame. This is going to be a really cool one to watch, just because I think Ohio State's motivated. Hopefully they don't pull an Alabama where they don't actually make it into the playoff, or they feel like they should. They have enough talent to, and they could be able to win again. But they're like, oh no, we don't get in, so we're not really going to try to win our bowl game. I don't think anyone's going to do that. Alabama probably wasn't their true intention, but the two times they did play in the Sugar Bowl against Utah and Oklahoma, got beat pretty bad in both games when they were the superior team, I think, talent-wise. So, anyway, digress back to the bowl game, and I think that this is just going to be a really good one to watch. Like I've said, I think that Ohio State, Notre Dame, two of the biggest fan bases in the country. So, should be an electric atmosphere at the game. Should be a very entertaining game. Two of the better teams in the country. I think outside of the college football playoff, this will be the best bowl game to watch. All right. So, I believe this is the Rose Bowl. Fiesta Bowl. All right. So, move on to Alabama and Michigan State. My number 2 spot, obviously. I've got the two playoff games at 1 and 2. I think that Alabama and Michigan State is going to be a little bit more, I think it's going to be a little bit more lopsided than Oklahoma-Clemson, just because I think Oklahoma-Clemson is going to be such a close game. I think Oklahoma-Clemson could be very comparable to the Notre Dame-Clemson game that happened earlier this year. I don't think that Alabama's going to win by 10. I think that line's a little bit inflated. I think Michigan State will play them close. I haven't seen Michigan State get blown out in quite a while. So they have Connor Cook back, should be healthy by then. Defense is playing well. LJ Scott's looking very good as well. So Michigan State is definitely clicking on all cylinders. They're two pretty similar teams. Obviously, Alabama's got probably the superior running back, but I think that Michigan State's got by far the superior quarterback. And I think they're about even on defense, so it should be a really interesting matchup to watch. I think it'd be crazy if Michigan State won this game. It would turn college football over on its head to see Alabama lose again in the college football playoff, and I believe they are heavy favorites to win the national title. But, I really could see any one of these 4 teams pulling it off this year. It's not like last year where you kind of just had the feeling in the back of your mind that, Oregon, even though they did win pretty big against Florida State, kind of had that, at least I did, the feeling in the back of your mind that Ohio State was going to win that game. Obviously at the beginning you didn't think that Ohio State had too much of a chance against Alabama, and then saw the game and then realized how good Ohio State actually was. Kind of had the feeling the entire time that Florida State wasn't going to win. I don't know if Michigan State's kind of taking the role as Florida State. You kind of compare every team to teams from last year with flip-flopping Clemson and Alabama. But, like I said, should be a really interesting playoff. So move on to my number one game, which is obviously Oklahoma and Clemson, a rematch of, I want to say the Russell Athletic Bowl. Yeah, it was the Russell Athletic Bowl last year. Obviously increased stakes this year. Both teams vastly improved. I believe Clemson had to start like Cole Stout or something like that last year. I'm not sure if Deshaun Watson was back by the bowl game or not, but Clemson absolutely railed Oklahoma. It was 40-6. Obviously, both teams vastly improved, so it should be an interesting game to watch. Two of the best quarterbacks in the country this year, Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson, and I couldn't tell you who the favorite is. I mean, obviously, at least for me, from the line, it's Oklahoma, but it's hard to see Clemson not being favored in any game they play this year because they've just played so well this year. And I think, like I said, I think both teams are pretty similar. I think OU's got a little bit better edge on the running backs, but Wayne Gallman's no slouch at running back. It's just hard to say that Clemson has a better backfield than Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon. But I think that Clemson does have the better quarterback. Nothing against Baker Mayfield, but I think Deshaun Watson, you can see night and day difference between Deshaun Watson and then when they didn't have him last year. Obviously, you can see the night and day difference between Oklahoma last year and this year, but they just have more depth everywhere. The defense has been playing better as well, so it's not just Baker Mayfield that's made a huge difference. You pretty much changed up everything from last year. So those are my top 5 bowl games that I think will be most exciting, best games to watch. Obviously, those aren't the games that have the most at stake. It's kind of hard to say what games have the most at stake besides the college football playoff, just because obviously most teams it's just an additional win and bragging rights. But like I said in my bowl prediction video, I'm really looking forward to this slate of games this year. I think that the games this year are much better than the ones last year before. Obviously, you really can't compare bowl games now to the BCS era, but I really like the slate of bowl games this year. I think there's entertaining games almost every single week. Well, every single weekend, and this is also one of the best set of early season bowl matchups too. Some of the Group of 5 games should be vastly entertaining. So yeah, like I said, that's pretty much it for this video. I will put the link to the description below or link to my bowl game prediction video in the description below, and then also give me a follow on Instagram and Twitter. Like I'm saying, I kind of revamped those, got those going again, and yeah, that's pretty much it. See ya.